Hey folks, Jonathan here. This is the one GMC V-6. This is the first one I got. This is 1961 model, 305, and we started this one up. This one's got the automatic transmission behind it. Ran really well. So what we're going to do now, I'm going to pop the carburetor back off, and the coil, and the battery cables, and we're going to bring the other V6 I've got. It's just like it with the 3-speed. And we're going to see how it runs. Now, if it runs good, the plan is to use the entire engine with the 3-speed bell housing, stick shift, everything, and we can put a T-5 behind it. If it doesn't run good, or if it knocks, or if there's any issues like that, then we'll just take it apart and use the parts on this engine. Either way, we'll put this engine up, and that way we'll have it for either parts or for another project or something. So anyway, that's the plan. So let me get on a skid steer or a forklift or something that can pick up a little more than I can pick up, and we'll get this thing moved around. And they're right in a... All right folks, got it up here. One thing about this engine is it is really clean to be a 62 model engine. Not a lot of oil on this one. You can actually see the original paint, and like I said before, it's got a couple of freeze plugs that somebody's put the rubber ones in, but I didn't see any cracks on the block or anything, so I think we're fine. Let me see. Everything looks really good. Water pump feels good. There's a Z-bar. Anybody don't know what a Z-bar is? This is the bar that runs across, and it may or may not have been for this. Looks like it was probably for this. We got a minute down here, but it would have went right there and then screwed into the block there. This would have went to the frame, and then when you push the pedal down, it will push this rod and operate your clutch. Okay, so as you can see, the carburetor's taped off and duct tape. It's pretty clean. We're going to pull the carburetor off either way, and then it looks like we got some. These was the rubbers for the mounts down on the side of the bell housing. I turned it by hand. I haven't turned it over with the starter yet, so we'll see how the starter is. No. So I'll get the wires hooked up on that and get a battery out here. But I do want to show you something here real quick. Okay, so Chris from Custom Machine Works sent me some stuff to help me out on my first starts, which everybody has complained to me about this before. Remote switch button, which I never had. A spark tester, which I've never used before. Some safety glasses, which I can absolutely positively use them, no doubt about it. And I've got enough stuff here, alligator clips and heat shrink. I can go ahead and make a couple wires up, and or at least a hot wire to be able to hot wire the engines up. And this was taped in there, and I'm sure this is something that he's built and machined, and unfortunately I don't know what it is, and I probably should, and I feel like a dummy for not knowing, but I just don't know. So if Chris or anybody else can tell me what that is, I'd appreciate it. So we've got a small hole. I don't know. I just never, I've never seen one. Or if I have seen one, I haven't, I didn't recognize it then either. So, all right. Well, let's get at it. We're going to get a wire made for hot wire. And then we're going to get some battery power on this thing, see what happens. Okay, so we got the battery hooked up and the cables hooked up. Haven't tried the solenoid yet to see if it works or not. Got my new switch here. Now, everybody that bugged me about that before and wanted me to buy one and wanted to know why I hadn't bought one. I was raised that, we was so poor that everything had to have a reason to buy. This wasn't a necessity. And even to this day, to me, it's not a necessity. It's a luxury. And now it's nice to have, and I sure appreciate it, and I'm going to use it. Do I think I would have bought one for myself? Probably not. But just because, like I said, it's actually a luxury, not a necessity. So anyway, let's hook her up and see what happens. I do want to say also, I don't know, hopefully you can see this, but you know, on the solenoid there's two posts. There's a small inside one and a small outside one. And some people don't know what the outside one is for. The inside one, of course, is for the solenoid to kick in. And the only time it's on the outside is if it was like a Buick or Olds engine where the starter's on the other side. But the inside one, solenoid, outside one goes to coil. And why that goes to the coil? The reason. When this solenoid engages and it puts power to the starter, it also puts power to this wire. And that way you're ensured that you have power to your coil while your engine's cranking over. And when your solenoid disengages, it disengages the power going to the coil through that. So that's what that's for. Let's see if this works here. I don't even know if the starter's any good. I have no clue. I have not tried it. Oop. The distributor's not in the way here. Alright, so I had to up and leave on a police call and finally made it back. It's not far before dark now, but we can at least get to work on this thing. I had just had a wire that was giving trouble. Let you hear it turn over here. I'll have the battery charger up and we'll try it again, see how it sounds. I know that battery's low. Alright, let me try it with the charger, huh? I think it's going to be fine. It sure sounds like it's got good compression. So next is to see if we can get the points cleaned up, I guess. Carburetor's already on. Got it on, tightened it down. I need to hook the vacuum advance up. Fuel line's hooked up. Need to put this in a can. I don't even think I've got any gas, but it's going to get too dark to do this tonight anyway. And tomorrow morning I've got two tows to do, and both of them happen to be cars with busted ball joints. One of them's a Mustang that sits low, of course, and the other one is a Jeep, like Cherokee or Liberty or something. So they shouldn't be too bad. So gotta get them done before I can get back on this thing. Go ahead and clean the points, and hasn't gotten dark yet. So I've got it firing. Hook some power up. There's our fire. So we're good to go there. I just ran some sandpaper through the points. I did take them out though, because I can't do them with them in the distributor. I mean, I just can't see good enough, and so I just take them out and clean them and put them back in. This is a filter, crankcase filter. A little dirty, ain't it? Definitely about time for one of them. Alright, we'll get at it in the morning and see if we can get her fired up. Alright folks, nice and bright out here today. Got some gas, got my two cars towed I needed to tow, and then had to do a few other little things, and now we're going to crank it over and see if we can at least get some fuel up in there in the bowl. Alright, so we got it pumping. Alright, put the power up. Alright, so we got power hooked up. Alright, we'll try it again in just a minute. I need to plug off or put my piece on for my vacuum advance. We don't have a vacuum leak there. Now I'll reposition the camera here. I think it's fixing to start. Alright, let's see if she'll start now. nice one. Alright, I think somebody's got this thing out of time. So we're going to run the firing order here real quick. It sounds good, but I can't tell if there's a noise in it or not. The exhaust is loud. It just is not running the same as the other one. I might can idle it down a little bit. Alright, let's let it cool off a while. Okay folks, I think this is going to turn out really well. I am probably going to have to do some valve adjustment and a few other things, but this engine seems to run really well. So one thing we're going to do is I'm going to pull the transmission off. Of course, as you can see, the lower bolts come in from the back side. So hopefully I can get to them without having to pick the engine up. But we're going to get the transmission off. I want to look at the splines. We'll compare it with our 5-speed we got. And everything should be the same except the splines, and we should be able to change it over by just changing the clutch. Okay, got our 3-speed out, and we've got our 5-speed over here, and everything is the same on this as it was on our 6-cylinder that was in our coupe, and that's what this transmission was in before I pulled it out and put the Cadillac engine in. So this transmission, if I change only the clutch to the finer spline clutch, which is right here, I'm hoping we've got the right size clutch. And if so, just put the clutch in, put the transmission in, and be done with it. And won't have to do anything else to this one to make it a 5-speed. And then I think we're going to do that, and then I think what we're going to do is maybe wrap it up and put it up somewhere where we can get it ready for another project later on. I just wanted to go ahead and get it done. I didn't want it sitting out in the rain or anything, so I want to make sure that we got it tested and everything was good. So I think it's going to be really good. It's going to have the valves adjusted, but besides that, you know, we're fine. You can reach in here, and I don't know if you'll be able to hear it or not. Hear how loose they are. So they're going to need adjusted for sure, but I think I can make it run good and sound good, idle good. It's not smoking at all. We got good compression. You know, I think everything's just fine. We just need to you know, readjust the valves and tune it up and go through that carburetor. Somebody had went through that carburetor before. That was on the other engine, but something's wrong with the accelerator pump. It's not pumping right. Some of you may have seen the front of this wobbling. That's just sheet metal, and we'll try to get it straightened out as best we can. It just got bent along the way. It was out of time because somebody had evidently spun the distributor around, and so we just had to get that back where it needed to be. It was popping a little fire out and trying to set me on fire. Okay, so we jacked it up and dropped the clutch and pressure plate down through the bottom, and luckily this is our clutch out of our coupe, and it is almost a 1/4 inch smaller, which is not going to really matter. It'll still work fine. Here's the one out of this. So the only difference is the facing's a little bit narrower here. So, but it's going to work out all right. So this clutch was actually stuck. So what we're going to do is clean the pressure plate and the flywheel up really well before we put it together. We should be able to put it together and have the transmission in probably here in just a little while. Everything else is looking good and working good. So I did notice a oil leak right there, but that is the drain plug. Looks like somebody put some kind of a gasket around it, so we'll have to see what we got to do on that. Otherwise, everything's working out really well. Okay, folks, so we're back together with it, and we are going to, I want to show you my lineup tool. This is an old school lineup tool. You get different ends you put on it, and then this taper is what sets you center on your clutch, and does a good job. I like it. I've used it for years, and so we got it lined up, got the clutch in, throw bearing on. Now I understand these parts are not new. Bearings are good. You know, I checked the pilot bushing. Everything looks really good. We're not driving this thing to California, and we're not driving it every day. It's not a work truck, nothing like that. So it'll be just fine like it is. You know, as a hot rod, you're not going to put much time on it anyway. So no use in buying a bunch of new parts if you don't really need to. Now, if they're wore out, that's one thing, but if they're not, you just don't need to do it. So now we're going to clean the transmission up there a little bit, and then we're going to see if we can get it to go in there. We got our throw bearing where we need it, and hopefully it'll go in okay. And then we're going to bolt it, and then we'll have to go all the way through with bolts and nuts on the bottom side because they come through and thread it into the transmission. This transmission don't have threads on it. Shouldn't be an issue. Alright, hey, can you check this clutch up for me, and then look down through there with that one eye and see if it's lined up. Is this what you want? Is this what you want? You're getting spoiled. Yeah, you're absolutely getting spoiled. You know that? Alright, folks, there you go. Done. 30 years difference in the engine and the transmission. Yet it bolts right up. You have the right clutch. You know, very little changing on the transmission at the front of it. You know, we'd already done that on the other car. We just shortened it up just a little bit. Really easy to do. So now we've got a 305 GMC V6 with a 5-speed and fully synchronized. You know, should do really well. So I think I'm just going to fire it up one more time, and then we're going to call it. So, all right. So we got another hot rod engine, and I still have the two carburetor adapter. You know, I know they never made an intake for this that was 4-barrel or anything else. Probably wouldn't be that hard to fabricate one or change this one, but I think I've got that other adapter that goes from one 2-barrel to 2 barrels. I'll probably just use it on it. I don't think it looks that bad on the old Ford Roadster. So, might as well, right? And I've got 2 carburetors. I just need to check and make sure the jet size and we'll make sure they're the same carburetor. One was on a 61, one was on a 62, but anyway, I think that's about it. At least we got a good fuel pump, and I think everything will be fine on this engine also. So, all right, I appreciate everybody watching, and feeling a whole lot better today. So I should be back on the Roadster here, and for anybody that wants to see it, I'm going to go ahead and show you the garden for my regular subscribers that want to see how far along it's gotten. So, all right, appreciate it. Bye. Okay, so growing pretty quick. Not as quick as I'd like, but they are growing quick. So we've got 1 pepper, which you might have already seen right here, and we're just waiting on. We got some blooms on the other peppers, but we're just waiting on some tomato blooms and waiting for these cucumbers to get spread out. And like I said, we're in sand here, so this is terrible soil. This soil is good for growing tobacco and possibly cotton, and I don't know if anything else. But we should have something anyway. So, all right, appreciate everybody watching. Bye.